Hello and welcome back to the fourth episode of my Minecraft 1.14 survival let's play series. I'm Mithril. So I hope you liked the last video where we built this starter house behind me. And in this video we'll be looking at the storage system that I've started working on underneath the house. Before we get started, I did notice that I've actually been playing on normal. Normally I like playing on hard difficulty. So I'll just lock that in now. I was so busy just figuring out how to do YouTube at the beginning that I didn't really notice that that was the case, so apologies for that. And I guess in terms of other updates, you can also see over there I've started a few just simple temporary farms just to get things ticking over. I've got some wheat, some sugarcane and bamboo, which has been a bit useful, and a little bit of cactus there that you can see. But anyway, let's get moving and start to look at what's been happening. So I've been doing a lot of digging under the base, so you can see now that there's the this hole that I was talking about that I'll let us see down into the storage system is now starting to take shape. And we can come out here to the what will be the water streams that come down, but for now are ladders, and we can actually start to look at the progress that I've made down here. So you can see here I've got these two layers that I'm working on. I've talked a little bit about these bamboo scaffolding, and I'm liking them more and more. Like you could not do that with a ladder, so I kind of set this up initially when this wasn't all dug out, and so it was just going up the wall, and then I could just dig away from it without having to worry about replacing the ladders or anything like that. So it's been really useful block. I'm really making a lot of use of it. So you can see, like I was talking about, we've got these two layers. So my plan here is to actually eventually, further down the track when I actually have redstone and iron, make use of two different sorting systems. I like to use sort of a simple item sorter where you have the items sort of flowing around over the top for sort of bulk storage of stuff that is produced from farms. That's based on a design by Impulse SV, or at least that's the video that I got it from. And then down the bottom, I'm going to use a second system, which I got from a video by Tango Tech. And I'll link both of those in the description if you're interested, which is more focused on, like, it allows you to have lots of different things in a chest, and I like to use that for blocks like wood blocks or stone blocks that have lots of different shapes, and so you can kind of put all the same kind of shapes in the one chest. So when I've been laying this out, I've been considering, I guess, the redstone that needs to go in behind it eventually to make it all work. And so eventually items will sort of flow in from the farms or from some sort of loading system and sort of go around this top layer, getting filtered down into the bulk storage, then go down into a second row of hoppers underneath that will go around the second layer and put all the items in before eventually going into some sort of garbage disposal system where I can sort of check if there's nothing there that I need and then just press a button and have all the items thrown into lava. So that's, I guess, the grand plan. I think a lot of the digging's done at this stage. I'll need to take a few more blocks out, but I just like to do this to kind of plan out what shape it's going to take. And I guess now I just need to do a little bit more resource gathering to make sure I've got everything I need and just start work putting it all together. So I suspect, I think the space of this probably won't work that well for a time lapse, so I might just do some sort of progress updates through the episode, and also check in on some of the other things that I've been starting to work on. So I'll get started and we'll see how much I progress. Actually, now that I think about it, there is one more thing that I did want to talk about, and that was I guess the way that this room is connected to the different parts of my base. So I guess we have the glass ceiling that allows us to look down into the room, and we have those what will eventually be water elevators coming down to this top level from the base up there. I also have these, again, as temporary scaffolding for the moment, but will eventually be, I guess, water elevators that allow you to quickly then come down to this second level. So that's, I guess, one way of accessing from the base up top. Also have these stairs over here just to sort of break up the cemetery a little bit and have sort of points of difference, which is not only useful in terms of how it looks, but also just I found if I make things too symmetrical, I kind of lose track of where I am, and I don't know where to go to get out and end up in the right place. So that's kind of helpful. So this kind of comes out to this little valley here, where I'm hopefully going to start having some houses for different functions and things here. And then if we come back in here, there's these two other exits on the top level. So we have the one over here, which leads out to that beach. So this was that sort of little cave that I spent the first night or two in. And here we have the sort of where this temporary base camp that I started with. So this is just a quick way out to the beach. And on the other side, all the way over here, we have a way out to I guess the area in behind the hill where I'm planning to put a lot of the farms. And so I've kind of sort of made an entrance into this sort of structure here. It might end up sort of a little bit higher. I've got a bit of work to do here at some point to kind of make it look a little bit better, but for now it's just I know where it is and how vaguely it's going to connect through. And that leaves two more areas, which is here, which I think will be the entrance to what will eventually be a sort of a strip mine, so where I'll do all my mining, which I kind of need to get onto, because like we're 4 episodes in and I've spent quite a lot of time on the server and I still haven't sort of dug down to start getting diamonds and redstone, and I think I'm reaching a point where I kind of really need to get onto that, so that might start getting dug sooner rather than later. And over here, I'm not sure where this will go, but I guess it kind of goes out under the ocean, so if we ever do that ocean monument or something like that, that might be a good spot for it, but it might sort of stay decorative for the time being, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm now ready to, I guess, build out one of these lower bays of chests in the lower level, and I'm going to start with the surround. So I'm going to put andesite feet at the bottom, and so in some ways this will match some of the look of the house that I built up above, because I feel like in some ways they're part of the same build, and so I want to tie it together a little bit. And as we start to build other things, we'll I guess start to move around and change different blocks and make things look a bit different, but for now we'll kind of tie into the same look. Can I reach that? Not quite. Jump. Oh yes, excellent. Then we're going to cap it off with a bit of andesite like this, have some stone chisel bricks, and then we'll just come straight across with the andesite and put a couple of supports up here. And so this will make up, I guess, the railing around the edge of this balcony. And in the past I've used cobblestone wall in between here, and it actually looks really nice, but I think, again, given I've gone with those windows, the big windows up there, and has slightly, what do I call it, like medieval modern look, I'll go with glass again, just so we have a little bit more visibility sort of down to the bottom layer and up. So I think that'll end up with sort of just a better look overall. So we'll now head back down and continue. So that's starting to look pretty good, and I've also got these, what are they called? Polished andesite stairs, and I'm really excited to be using these because it fits in with the tone of the andesite, but it's just that drop down is going to mean that there's a little bit more wood that's going to show through, which I think is going to look good underneath the chests, so it's just not quite, it's not too flat. So for this design we have, that we could use on the bottom here, we're just going to have 2 stacks of chests. So we'll make a, actually is that a good idea? I might just leave this open for a sec. Oh, and there goes Max. Excellent, let's just here. UX. It's easy. Let's just leave this open a little bit. So things to remember when you're working with chests is that you can't have full blocks above them if you want to open them. So I just use stair blocks like this, so it still has the same look, but there's that little gap in there that will allow the chest to open on the top level. And then we can have these sides. Oh no, I filled it in, didn't I? That'd probably do. So let's put some chests in here before I forget and fill that in again. I usually just pick a direction and have all the chests facing the same way. Like that. That looks pretty good. And now we can fill this in. Excellent, they open, which is good. So yeah, on the sides I'll have item frames. I need to do some leather farming for that, which actually, and then use items to show what's actually in the chest, so it's easy to see what's going on. I prefer that to having the items frames on top of the chest because I find it's a bit difficult to sort of reach around and access the chest. So let's go with some spruce fence up top, just again to tie in with the look and feel that we had before. I think that's going to look pretty good. We have those sort of in these corners here, so I'm going to go ahead and fill that out and see what it looks like. So this is really starting to come together now. I've done all the 4 corners with the double chests and started to put the face on these tunnels, and now I need to do these water streams. So what I'm going to do to start with is put the wooden surrounding, like so. And then come down here. Come on. Nope, not even a little bit. Is that not working? Ah, there we go. Excellent. Yeah, I'm still getting used to those. So now we can go like this. Like this. A little bit more. And behind. It's kind of fun that you can kind of place through the scaffolding. Blocks. So that's looking pretty good. We can get rid of the scaffolding. Now, probably a good time to place in the water streams. So I'm sure you've seen the infinite water trick before. You've got 2 source blocks and can just grab the middle one over and over again. I'm going to place them all in manually because it's such a short stream. If it was longer, there's tricks you can do with sea kelp and that kind of stuff, but this is pretty short, so it shouldn't be too bad. 1, 2, 3. Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more. 6. Cool. So now, what do we need? I guess we need to close this off. So I was planning to put sort of like a glass block in there so you can see the water stream a little bit, like that. And then we'll maybe make up a spruce gate. Gates would be the middle like that. And maybe a spruce trapdoor. Bishop plate. Spruce. There we go. Perfect. Alright, let's see how what this looks like. If I put a gate in here, open up. It's just coming out that middle block now, and if I put a... How does that look? That's pretty good. Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, excellent. So, yeah, cool. Okay, then I'll do the same for this one, which I might cut. Alrighty. Now, what else do we need? some spruce just to make it look like the rest of the surrounds. And maybe something here just to finish the floor off. So I think we're going with andesite, but I'll just use the whole blocks because we're going to be walking over it. As well, maybe, or actually maybe wood. Like that. Cool. And I thought maybe some of this stone brick wall might look good just to kind of separate up the bottom. And this might be a nice time to put in some more lanterns just to brighten it up a little bit. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And I think at some point I might put some item frames up here to indicate up and down, but we'll get to that. So yeah, this is starting to come together. I think next I definitely need to do some wool farming, so we can start to put a sort of covering on this floor, and I'm also going to need some light source blocks, so I'll probably also do a little bit of pumpkin farming as well, so we can put torches in pumpkins and sort of hide it under the carpet to have some lighting so we don't have all these torches everywhere. So yeah, let's go on with that. So here I am up in the house. I've filled in this void with some glass just for so I don't risk falling down there. As you can see, I've been quite busy. But if we come out here, I have now a sheep farm and a cow farm that's happening. So I've been coming out here and been busy getting wool and increasing the number of cows, which will be useful for later. And I've collected quite a bit of wool ready to go. And then back across the other side, just to give you an idea of what I've been doing, I have those sort of little starter farms that don't look that great, but they're getting the job done, giving me the wheat I've been needing for breeding up those sheep and cows. And I've also started a small pumpkin farm as well. So that's been pretty useful for getting lighting blocks through jack-o'-lanterns. Something that's pretty new to me is the need to actually sort of turn them into jack-o'-lanterns first with shears before actually harvesting them. So that's been a bit of fun. But yeah, it's all getting a little bit bigger, a little bit more materials. But if we now come and have a look at the progress in the actual storage area itself, which is just this way. What we can see is I've now sort of filled out the bottom layer with carpet. I've also done a little bit of work on this mine shaft. I thought I'd just change the tone of it a little bit, so I've used this smooth stone block with the more of the what's the word? Fence? Oh, I should really know what that is. Stone brick wall. There we go. Buttons, sort of a mix of stone in behind the odd lantern, and I think this is going to be where I go down and do a little bit of mining. So we'll come back to that a little later. And then up on this top level you can kind of see where I've started preparing to put the pumpkins in underneath the carpet, so that provides all the lighting to drastically reduce the number of torches that I have around the place. So I need to do a little bit more of that and then continue work on this top level to get it done. But I think at this point I definitely need to get down and start doing some mining. So I think what I'll do is grab some wood and make some ladders. So let's do that. That's good. One of them. So one of the big things I've found with the scaffolding is that I've been very limited by the amount of string that I've had. So happily I got quite a little bit of it from that exploration, which allowed me to build all these, because you actually need string in addition to the bamboo to craft each block. But it does mean that until I get an actual skeleton farm or a spider mob farm up and running. This is all the scaffolding I can get, so kind of needing to use ladders a little bit. So at this point I'm pretty much good to go. So you've probably seen the memes, and they're like, whatever you do in Minecraft, don't dig straight down. And the reason for that is that if you're digging straight down and you are above lava, you'll end up sort of stuck in lava. But that said, I've made a lot of mines on several different worlds, and I always make these sort of grand staircases that go down, and then at some point replace it with just a drop straight down, because it's faster, it's quicker to get up and down, and I never really end up using the stairwell after that. So I figure I've got iron armor, but I've got more iron that I've found. I really don't have anything to lose, so other than it's probably worth mentioning at this point. Where is it? Deaths, play deaths. Number of deaths is 0, so that's kind of cool, but I'm sure at some point it's going to happen, so I figure for the sake of like making a stairwell I'm never going to use, I'm just going to go for it, and if I get unlucky I get unlucky, and if I don't I don't. So here we go. So typically I like to go down to around level 12 or thereabouts, so we'll just head straight down and let's see how we go. So where are we at? About 46. Oh, well, that didn't take long. So I am keen to do a lot of exploring of these the mineshaft tunnels here, but because for starters I'm going to need that rail. That's a really useful way to get a lot of rail that doesn't require any iron. You can just pick it up off the ground. But for now, we're just going to keep going. So yeah, apologies if you're anticipating me checking out some of those tunnels, but I really need some diamonds, so I'm just going to head straight down. And hopefully soon we'll get lucky and not hit any lava. I'm certainly listening out for lava sounds to see if I can hear any near, and I haven't heard any yet, so looking pretty good. So let's keep going. A few more. 2 more. And there you have it. Well, that was worth it. That was a pretty quick way to get down pretty low. Better put a torch down so we don't get any spawns. And then we just need to ladder our way back up. And now we have a really easy way to get down nice and low to do our mining. So I think what I'll do now is do a mining session off camera, and we'll hopefully get some diamonds. Some lapis would also be useful because I've got those levels that I could potentially be using to enchant something, although I've probably going to need to make a whole heap of books and an enchanting table. But yeah, let's see how we go. So stay tuned and I'll be back. So I've finished mining and it's been quite fruitful. If we have a quick look, we've got heaps of stone. I went out of my way to collect andesite when I found a pocket of it because I find that's a block that I use a lot in my builds. We found one skeleton in a sort of cave. More importantly, we now have plenty of redstone and some lapis for enchanting, a little bit of iron and gold, and finally, after a lot of digging, I eventually struck diamonds. Happily, it was quite a few, so we've got 6 diamonds, a little bit of coal, so I'm pretty happy with that. It's not a bad effort. Interestingly, so I ended up coming down to level 8. It's been a while since I actually sort of figured out what level I needed to be mining at. And I knew from memory diamonds were up to around level 16, but I just double checked and they're most common up to level 12. So I came down to level 8, so we've got level 8, 9, 10, 11 that I'm kind of mining through to hopefully get the best yields of diamonds. The other thing I found was lava, so this was where I was digging down saying, oh, the odds are pretty low that I'm going to hit something, but yeah, it turns out I was pretty lucky. But there you go, I still don't regret it. I think that was definitely the quickest way to get down here. So I think now we have all the resources we need from mining for the time being, so I think I'm going to head up and check in on those farms, and then maybe try and finish up that storage room. So let's go see what the farms are up to. So it seems like the cow farm is reaching capacity, so I guess we'll need to find some new homes for some of these cows to make room. So I'll be right back. So we now have plenty of space in the pen, and in completely unrelated news, we also have a couple of stacks of leather, which is fantastic for item frames, which we'll put to good use. I've also been shearing these sheep here with the clippers, and so I've got plenty of black wool. I also got some grey wool, particularly the light grey wool. You can see up there those torches that I had on the corners are gone on one side, and I'll go up and do these other torches here now that I've got a little bit more, just to sort of reduce the clutter of the torches to make it look a bit better. Right, let's press on. So I've now finished the top layer more or less, so let's see what it's looking like. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with this. I've got the item frames in, and I've even taken the time to do some of the sorting. So I have the sort of bulk stone that you gather when mining here, sand and sandstone. Over here we have some of the crops, and then down on the lower level I've got all the different types of wood, so the different types of blocks for each of the woods that I'm mostly using, flowers that I've been collecting, different types of stone blocks, so the sort of stone slabs, smooth stone, black, which is pretty good. Polished blocks, again, these can be cut to different shapes, so I figured they would be best down here in these chests, which I'm going to have, so you can have lots of different items sorted into them of different types. A little bit of glass over here, some of the dyes, wool, then over here is redstone, miscellaneous things made of wood, iron, paper, and light sources, food, fuel, precious items. So this is looking pretty good at this point, and different plant, animal, fungus, and I guess undead, so with mobs. So yeah, just a place to put all the leftover bits and pieces. So I'm really happy with how this is looking. You can see that I've left this gap here, and so eventually I'm hoping that you'll actually be able to look through and see sort of water streams in behind here when I automate it as the items sort of travel around the room. So I've just left that for now, and I've also left the top of this ceiling. I have plans to finish it off at some point, but for now it's not a high priority. I think given how sort of structured everything is down here, I'm thinking this might look good as more sort of natural sort of rock formations with bits of vines hanging down and that kind of thing to sort of balance it out a bit, but we'll see what happens when I get there. Cool. So that is one storage system, manual storage system sorted, and I think that's going to really set me up well for tackling the coming projects. So yeah, looking good. So that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed working on that storage system and some of the starter farms. If you liked it, please leave a like, and if you're keen to catch my next episode, please subscribe and click the bell. So next episode, I think at this point I've got a decent base started. We have all the basics, I guess, in the world. I think the one thing we're really missing is some of the things from Nether. In particular, I think quartz would be good for some of the farms that I'm looking to build to give us those comparators. So I think next episode we'll definitely head to the Nether and get some things. Maybe do a bit of exploration and see how that goes. Well, stay tuned and see you next time. Bye.